Hello and welcome to this ET Now special. I'm Nayantara. I'm coming to you today from Dehradun. I've travelled here to interview Tara Singh Vachani, the youngest daughter of industrialist Aniljeet Singh. Now Tara could have followed her father's footsteps and joined healthcare or insurance. But at the age of 23, Tara convinced her father as well as the Max India board to get into a brand new business, Senior Living. Her first project is in Dehradun and it goes by the name of Antara Senior Living. A warm greeting from Dehradun. We are at Antara Senior Living, founded by Tara Singh Vachani. She is, of course, the managing director and CEO of the company. It is a company part of the Max Group. I'm in conversation with Tara. Hi, Tara. Thank you so much for inviting us. It's a pleasure to have you on the show as well.
Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for being here, Nayantara and Dehradun.
I'm going to begin by asking you, you could have literally done anything that you wanted to. You could have also done one of your father's businesses, whether it was hospitals or insurance. Why did you choose Senior Living?
You know, it all started when I moved back to India and I started exploring various opportunities of the existing businesses as well as really tapping into what my own aspiration was. And I realized very soon that I really wanted to do something new, not just for myself, but possibly try and create a space in India that hadn't been touched. And after working for a year and a half in the group company and understanding the various businesses, I stumbled upon the concept of senior living. And something just struck a chord, and 2011 till now, this has just been my sole focus and journey.
So, we are, of course, here at your first project in Dehradun. Tell me a little bit about it. How many condos do you have, apartments do you have? Take me through the details.
Sure. So we are sitting on little less than 16 acres. This is actually, we were very privileged when we stumbled upon this beautiful piece of land. It wasn't like we had it and then decided that we would use this for Antara. We actually found it for Antara. We have created here about 200 apartments that range from about 1,700 square feet to about 6,000 square feet. And I think most importantly, we've created a community space that we call the club, which is about 50,000 square feet. And this is not so much to spend time and energy and focus on the hardware, but just to give everybody a sense of the space ratio of private to community space, because ultimately the idea here is to create a very interdependent community that can happen by creating beautiful spaces. So that's a little bit of at least the hardware here.
You're pioneering, if I may say so, senior living in India. We are, of course, going through a change from joint families to nuclear families. But senior living, it's still pretty much out there?
Absolutely. I think I would confidently say, for better or for worse, that we really are the first to be doing it at this size, this scale, this quality, this target market. And my hope is that in the next few years, there will be what I would call serious competition, because I think that's very good for our country. I think it's very important for us to have opportunities to get older in environments like these, where there is a sense of community and support. And it's been very challenging, of course, being the first player to do it at this level, but it's been such wonderful learning that I wouldn't change a single thing about my experience.
So all the seniors watching you right now, how much will it cost them to get a place here?
Well, if you look at the size of apartment that we have the most of, we have about 2,500 square feet, and we have the most number of apartments in that category. So just as a benchmark, the starting price for that size is about 3 crores. For what we call a lifetime lease. We actually don't sell freehold. Okay. And this has been another element of our proposition that's very unique to us. Because the whole idea of the lifetime lease is so that as Antara, we can manage, control, and really create the ecosystem here, and also take care of who eventually starts to move into the community second round. So 3 crores for the lifetime lease. And then we have what we call the Antara comprehensive benefit charge. That really is a monthly charge that takes care of a lot of services that we provide. That starts for about this size of apartment at about 45,000 rupees.
That's a month?
That's a monthly charge.
So that's like a maintenance fee?
Yes, we prefer to call it the benefit charge, just because it's a lot more than just the simple maintenance of keeping the grounds clean and your corridors clean. It takes care of your access to the club. It takes care of security measures and infrastructure that nobody else has. The wellness access. We are going to have holistic and clinical services that are accessible within this amount, insurance. And what we do that's very unique is we have what we call really a lifetime guarantee for your apartment. So everything we provide you, we take care of for life within this charge.
Fair point. So 3 crore rupees is the starting price. And
No, we actually have smaller apartments than the 2,500 square foot.
Yeah, you said 1700 square
Right.
feet is the
So
starting.
I would say the smallest size apartment currently probably starts at about 2.1 or 2 crores at this stage.
Have you seen price appreciation since you launched?
Absolutely. And we get into those debates with people who talk about, the real estate market is crashing and how can you be increasing your prices? And I just keep reiterating, we are not real estate. We are real estate enabled, as all businesses are. Everyone needs land and buildings to function. Well, at least most of us, not the e-commerce ones. But frankly,
Well, they need the warehouses.
they need exactly. So they are also real estate enabled. But yes, we've absolutely seen appreciation, and I think people who are progressive and understand our concept are very willing to pay the price that we command and we demand.
So how much of an appreciation have you seen since when you launched? Give me an idea.
I think we are probably, we've seen at least 10%. I may have to come back to you on this one. I don't know the exact figure, but at least 11% we have seen since we launched in 2013.
You mentioned, very fleetingly, healthcare and insurance. Interestingly, that of course has synergies with the Max Group, companies founded by a father. So do you work very closely with him? Do you work very closely with the other Max Group companies?
Right. Well, my father's still the chairman of our board, of the Antara board. So at a governance platform, he is very active on that front.
Is it difficult to work with your dad?
I
Or
work.
your clashes like a father-daughter, or they're more professional?
It's interesting. I actually report to Rahul Khosla, who's our group president, and he has been my mentor, my guide, my North Star since he joined in 2012. So from a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, he is my go-to person. And I think that was the best thing that could happen, because I feel I'm a lot like my father. I like things to be a certain way. We're all a bit controlling. So it's nice to have Rahul to work with.
But he mellows you both down?
More than that, I think he's just built me to understand and learn how to be a professional. And from my father, I get really the guidance and the experience, and the 4 or 5 platforms a year where he's able to share that with me, and then the one-on-one at a personal level are very, very meaningful to me. But on a day-to-day working, it's really Rahul who I lean on. And at the board meeting level, I really enjoyed sometimes the debates and the conversations between my father and myself, or my father and my team, and Rahul and the team. So we really use those board meetings to workshop and co-create where we are going to go.
You also said you're a lot like your father. So I have to ask you this. He's known to be one of the most maverick investors in India. Do you think you've picked that up from him?
No.
Everything he touches literally goes to gold.
I don't think I
Why?
hope
This could
I
be
get
gold.
it. Well, I think that he has a gumption and a foresight and courage that I don't think one has acquired yet. And maybe that comes
But
with
you're only 30.
Well, I think at 30 he had a lot more courage and gumption than I probably do. But and I think with him he's able to see trends and he's able to take risks. I'm a little less risk averse. But the flip side could be someone saying, hey, wait a second, but you've just put all of this together for the first time in a country.
It is risky. You've taken 16 acres of land that you have to put together to pioneer a new concept. I would think is risky.
Well, now looking back at it, I realize it was a pretty bold move. But I think it's yet to unfold. I don't know if I have that capacity, but I think my husband probably has a little bit more of that, and maybe I'll get a rub-off effect from him.
Tara, how did you get 16 acres of contiguous land? It's practically impossible even in the plains area, I'm sure a very big challenge.
You know, we were very lucky. This was owned by a family based out of Dehradun, actually. So it was a
Okay.
private piece of land. This was not
Oh, so
agriculture.
you didn't have to go
No,
and
no.
deal with getting contiguous
No,
land.
we wouldn't have done that anyway. I think our whole governance structure would have not really enabled us as Max to really go down that
It would have been
path.
very difficult.
It would have been, and not a journey worth, I think, exploring. So we were very lucky. This was one beautiful piece of land. And it's actually interesting because my mother is from Dehradun. So my father over the years had, acquired a few pockets of beautiful land in Dehradun. And we actually own a piece of land across the road. And that is where Antara was originally meant to come. And when I was master planning that with my architects, someone who helps us look for land sort of whispered in my ear and he said, there's something very beautiful across the road. Do you want to see it? And I said, don't even talk to me about it. I want to just focus. I don't want to derail my plans. But sort of curiosity got the better of me. And I walked into these gates and it just felt like it was meant to be.
Called out to you.
Absolutely. And we were very lucky because as you can see, we have the valley and the Shivaliks pretty much on 2/3. So we are always protected in a way from that view and sort of, construction and congestion. And then we have an orchard on one side and the beautiful reserved sal forest on the other. So we were very, very lucky to have been able to acquire this.
Well, with that, time for a short commercial break. Stay tuned to this ET Now special. On the other side of this commercial break, I'm going to grill Tara to find out why she thinks India is ready for senior living. Welcome back to this ET Now special. Today we're coming to you from Dehradun. We are at Antara Senior Living in conversation with Tara Singh Vachani. Tara, I want to begin by asking you, why do you think India is ready for senior living? We touched upon it very briefly, but as a community, as the way the society thinks, are we ready to let our parents go away, live away from us, totally somewhere else in a different city?
So if I was to answer that statistically, we're 112 million people over the age of 60 in India. As an absolute number, that's very, very large. If you take a percentage of that, that's affluent, that lives in urban cities and lives without their children, that is also almost touching about 30 to 35 million people in our country who in a way at some point need to start thinking about quality of life as they get older. That's obviously the statistical answer, and if you start extrapolating from that, it shows you the demand and the ecosystem. But the emotive answer and the intuitive answer is simply the fact that infrastructure, culture and life is changing. The generation or the two generations before us who had the international exposure, who had an expectation of quality of life, want to be able to maintain and preserve that quality of life. And therefore, if we look at the kind of people we talk to as potential clients, they're all saying the same thing. They're all talking about the hassles of living in cities, yet wanting a sense of friendship and community and infrastructure. And I really think that we are at a crossroads anyway as a culture of discovering ourselves and looking at things in a far more holistic manner.
The proliferation of nuclear families must have aided your belief as well.
Absolutely. And if you look at the number of, actually interestingly, a whole new set of interests that's being generated is also the NRI market, not just the children, but NRIs in terms of people who started to move out of India when they were in their early 20s, who now want to come back to India because they see this as a breeding ground for all of the value system and ethics and morality that they've in a way missed living abroad and want to come back to an ecosystem that's well maintained. So I really think whether it's about the Indians who have lived in India over the last couple of years or Indians who've lived away and want to start
So when
making
you
India.
look at the number of apartments and spaces that you've sold here, the
Right.
number of units, would you say you have a lot of NRIs here?
I think we've started to see that transition now.
So there's a new trend.
I have to say in the last maybe 12 months of seeing, I think also being more ready and more complete has given them that confidence that we are not just a marketing brochure or a film on television. And I think we've started to see that interest getting generated where I think India generally in the world in terms of its optics has started to get far more of a positive reputation. So I do sense that over the next 2 years for Antara, we'll have a very healthy mix of people looking to move back to India.
A very different kind of ghar wapsi, but let's not go down.
Absolutely, a different ghar wapsi, yes.
Do you ever get worried about the fact that you're trying to do a senior living But what if people actually just treat it as a holiday home?
You know, one of the ways our model is structured is actually to deter people to do that. So if you look at just the fact that the Antara comprehensive benefit charge that I referred to earlier, um, actually is a significant sum of money, and therefore people who really want to make it their home will be happy to spend on it. You know, we aren't really targeting people who have money to sort of just you know, throw away or waste and think of this as just a hardware investment. Today, if you look at sort of the target audience that we have, we're talking about someone who has a net worth of 10, 12 crores, including real assets, not just at an income level. And I don't think in today's India that's classified as uber rich, but I think that people who are progressive and who are looking forward to this lifestyle are automatically attracted to us. So in a way, a filter gets formed anyway. But I think for the initial years, people will come and spend less time here and then make it their permanent home. They have to experience it, they have to feel comfortable, they have to feel like it's part of their ecosystem. But between the charge, between the lifetime lease model, between the way in which we just have conversations with people, I've been in situations where I've actually told people that I don't think this is the right decision for you.
Oh, really? You've turned away a potential customer?
Absolutely, because I think that if my vision is impacting quality of life, I'm not going to compromise on that. And one of the easy ways of compromising it is to possibly sell it to someone who's not looking at receiving that impact in terms of quality of life.
You're also quite strict that you have to be 55 years and above to buy a place here,
yes,
right?
we are. We have the ability to make...
Rather lease a place,
yes,
I apologize.
That's okay. We actually call it selling over lease, so that's fine actually. But yes, we are a bit strict about that. Obviously, if there are exceptions, if there are people in sort of their mid or late 40s or early 50s who are saying, look, we just want this quality of life, we're done with living everywhere else, we want this lifestyle, we would think about it. But today we've attracted that target audience anyway, so it's been good for us.
So, you know, in America, what really happens in this senior living homes is the room or the apartment goes back to the developer. What do you do?
So, you know, in international markets, they normally have 3 pricing plans. The lesser you pay upfront, the more obviously goes to the developer at the time that you pass away or you want to leave the community. You then have a middle plan, and then you have what they call a type C contract that actually does give you some amount, if not all of it back, with a pretty high significant percentage of the total revalue to the developer. For us, our lease model actually, while it enables us as Antara to control the quality of the community, both services and the people who live here, we have the ability for people to get the benefit of the financial appreciation. So whether it's through, at the time of resale, we then put it back on the market at whatever the appreciated value of the apartment is, and that sum of money goes back to them or their nominees.
But are they allowed to will away the property? Yeah?
No, it is by discretion if their next of kin is actually keen to enjoy and use the asset as well, and if they have hit the age limit. Otherwise, we put it back on the market, liquidate it, and the money goes to them.
You share the appreciated value or a percentage?
We keep a very small percentage because, you know, we realize as first timers, people have to feel the confidence of their financial investments being secure. But who knows, 20 years from now, I would love to be able to create a model where we actually are able to get a little bit more benefit, because the fact of the matter is that a lot of the appreciation that's going to happen is because of our brand and the way we are going to maintain the community.
Okay, with that, let's take a short commercial break. Let's find out more about Antara. We'll see you back in less than 2 minutes. Welcome back to this ET Now special. Today I'm coming to you from Dehradun, from the 16-acre Antara Senior Living. I'm in conversation with Tara Singh Vachani. Tara, I want to understand a little more about your business model. You've managed to aggregate 16 acres of land. You're doing leaseholds with an average of 3 crore rupees. You've got that fee you told us about. How do you make money when you offer all of this?
You know, to be honest with you, Nayantara, I think that our first community, it will be a little harder to do that, because I think we also have loaded cost onto ourselves of creating the intellectual property and really building a category and understanding how this entire industry and market could potentially work. But in an ideal situation, which I'm hoping to achieve in our future communities, the business model essentially is a margin on the lease price. So whatever leases you sell, there should be a margin built in that. Also, there is hopefully a margin that you should be able to get on the services that you offer as well.
Okay.
And then, of course, the third stream, which I think we're a little far away from actually building a good margin, but some of the international players are able to do it very well, is a percentage of the appreciation at the time of release or resale.
Okay.
So these are the three revenue streams or avenues that should then aggregate into a pretty healthy profit.
Tara, you just said more communities. What else are you planning?
So, you know, interestingly, when we first got board approval in 2012, we had it for multiple communities. And then I realized the level of energy, effort, and capital that it's going to take just to get the first one right is enough to keep us very occupied over the last couple of years. And as a result of that, I've actually asked our board if we can have a few months after we open Antara Dehradun just to assimilate, to step back, understand our learnings, understand what the market is asking of us.
The changes you may need to make for the other ones.
Absolutely, and really step back and use this journey to do the right thing. And then I'm hoping an outcome of a little bit of that step back will be the future plans, and I'm hoping that part of those future plans will be other communities in different locations and possibly some other ideas.
Do you know
well.
which locations or cities you're targeting?
I think definitely if we were to expand, which I hope we will, it would have to be in a metro. I think I want to test out that market.
In a metro, so that's totally different from the Dehradun model.
And you know, it's very interesting, Nayantara, because there are people who are just so tied into their geography and so tied into living in a city that while they can see this quality of life that they could possibly have, the opportunity cost for them is too much to leave their existing.
And they want to be close to the family.
Exactly. And so at the end of the day, I have to be cognizant of that market as well. And I frankly think this is a feather in our cap. I will not be able to achieve a community that has all the tick boxes that Dehradun does, from quality of air.
Hey, you're just 30. Chill out.
But I think any other locations in my mind will have less than we are able to do here. But definitely I want to try the metro market.
If I was to talk about Dehradun, Tara, and I'm sure you get a lot of these questions, access to healthcare. If I'm going to, for example, I'm going to put it very crudely, if I'm going to put my parents or be comfortable with my parents being in a senior living home, I want to be sure that they have access to the best of healthcare. Is that where you draw your synergies from Max Hospitals?
Absolutely. And one of our major reasons to pick a city like Dehradun was because at the same time that we were incubating Antara Dehradun, Max Healthcare was also about to inaugurate their 300-bed super speciality hospital 5 minutes away from us. And we would never be in a location or a city where tertiary care healthcare wasn't available within a 10 to 12 minute distance, whether it's our own brand or some others at some stage. So very much the synergy with Max Healthcare, not just because of the hospital that is next door, but also we are creating our own wellness center, which is called the Antara Wellness Center, which I'm hoping really will become the backbone of what we're trying to do. And the wellness center is an assimilation of clinical services and holistic services from Ayurveda to naturopathy to homeopathy to acupuncture, and then the traditional spa, gym, pool, hydrotherapy, etc. And that space for us is about 15,000 square feet. So the clinical elements in our wellness center are very much powered by Max Healthcare, and that entire intellectual property is being co-created with them because they also have to look at it differently from a day-to-day care management versus an in and out care management.
Tara, while you might be very close to the Max Specialty Hospital that you spoke about, let's be honest, perhaps the best of the doctors and surgeons are not in that Max Specialty Hospital. They'll probably be in Saket in New Delhi, which is your flagship hospital. How do you deal with all of those kind of concerns and questions?
You know, there is a bit of a misnomer that the older you get, the more specialized healthcare you need. It's actually incorrect. The healthcare you need is actually health and well-being. It's actually the ability to stitch the pieces together of your patterns of life, of your trends of life, of your habits, of the way in which you have created or curated your lifestyle. The tertiary care that you possibly may need, I have to say, at least from neurology, cardiology and oncology, we're very strong here. And if there ever is a need of a tertiary situation, which is a one-off, it's not that it really increases anymore as you get older, there's always ability for us to manage them in any of the other Max hospitals.
Okay.
So I think that we have to understand that when we talk health and wellness for this age group, it is a systematic way of giving care. It's not a systematic way of giving medicine. They're two very different things in my mind. And I, in a way, through the wellness center, want to reinvent that pattern and that thinking.
And will people be free to eat what they want
Of
here?
course.
Are you going to be strict? Like,
No, it's been a debate I've had, and
like for example, are they allowed to drink here? Are they allowed to have alcohol?
The bar is right behind you. Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, one of the beauties of Antara has to be the freedom of making choices. You should be able to have the healthiest choice and make the healthiest choice because you're truly educated and inspired to do so.
My final question to you, Tara. How did you come up with the name Antara? I can get the Tara part.
Actually, it's very interesting. It didn't actually come from having the word Tara in it at all. Our lovely branding consultants, and now who've become like family and friend, a firm called Rain Keshavan, they actually did a branding where they started talking about the word Antar, which means the difference. Not different, but the difference. And something about that word just inspired me. So when they started to construct the logo, they became very cheeky and added the extra A and said, hey, by the way, we've been able to achieve it with your name in the brand. I said, my God, that sounds so narcissistic, but you know what, it has a nice flow to it with the 3 A's. And I was very keen that we actually have a logo which talks about the colors of the sun, and we created the 3 mandalas, which in a way represent mind, body, soul. And so that's just how the name came about. And actually, after we registered the company, everything got done. A journalist once got up and said, is Antara a combination of my father's name, Anuljit, and your name, Tara? And actually, that was the first time.
Yeah, that is true, actually, yeah.
And then I sort of realized, I said, wait a second, if you really want to think about it, A could be for my father, Anuljit, N for my mother, Neelu, and Tara for me. So it all just worked out quite cosmically. So it was
maybe you can call it Antaras and get your husband Sahil also involved.
Actually, you never know. Maybe
when you have the next one, you can do that.
I can quickly add a little bit of an S at the end. But no, that's actually how the whole brand and the name.
That's got a story, actually.
It is actually. It's nice reflection.
And with that, Tara, I'm going to thank you for inviting us to Dehradun and taking us around Antara, and all the very best to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/etnow.